Talk about the collapse of the United States empire. The U.S. hands over the last military base in Niger to the ruling junta, losing $110 million, signaling our collapse in the African continent. We're talking about this story and so much more here on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by My Patriot Supply, providing emergency meal kits at preparewithvnn.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Military.com came in with a whammy, explaining that the U.S. is collapsing in its grasp around the world. This time, we're looking at Africa, where we've lost a $110 million airbase. The U.S. handed over its last military airbase. This is a strategic center, particularly to launching drones. We all know the CIA loves launching drone attacks on particularly Muslim people. Nothing gets the juices flowing of the neocons like killing a family on their wedding day, am I right? Well, this time, we might not be able to kill them so quickly. Unfortunately, it's also being paid for by the taxpayer, you. Dakar, Senegal. The U.S. handed over its last military base in Niger. Be careful that you say Niger. That's how it's pronounced. Be very careful there. One of the two crucial hubs for American counterterrorism operations in the country. To local authorities, the U.S. Department of Defense and Niger's Ministry of Defense announced in a joint statement on Monday. Critics were quick to point out that maybe we are stopping our foreign counterterrorism units, and we don't care so much about that mission because now we're focusing on domestic terrorists, aka straight white people. Don't want your kid to transition? Terrorist. Don't want your kids to have porn in schools? Terrorist. And that's not a joke. The FBI is literally putting anybody who questions their authority or even questions the Global Homo Alliance of being a terrorist. The handing over of an Airbase 201 in the city of Agadez came after U.S. troops withdrew earlier this month from Airbase 101, a small drone base in Niger's capital of Niamey. U.S. troops have until September 15th to leave Sahel country following an agreement with Nigerian authorities. Unfortunately, we've already vacated. Now, what does this mean for the area? Well, VOA already explained this, that terror groups have poised to fill the void with U.S. forces gone from Niger. Listen to this. The U.S. abandonment this week of its $110 million drone base in Niger, once seen as a key hub for counterterrorism efforts, adds to a growing list of Western withdrawals, all steadily creating around ground to terror groups affiliated with Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. Officials with U.S. Africa Command announced the final departure of troops from Airbase 201 in Agadez on Monday, completing a process that began last year when a military junta overthrew Niger's democratically elected president and demanded U.S. forces to leave. I have to say this, although I am a U.S. imperialist, if a rebel group, we'll call them, overthrows a democratically elected government, but the U.S. has large military bases there, that's a good sign that the government was installed by the United States CIA. I'm just saying, not that I'm against it, but we don't just have bases in countries. Remember what we did to Saudi Arabia, where we were like, hey, we're going to do to you what we did to Iraq. And then, hey, but if you don't want that done, then trade your oil with us and then let us build air bases all around your country. So sometimes we bully people into this stuff. Am I against America being badass? No. Do I think that our imperialism in the region, especially the Middle East and Northern Africa, is strategically important? Not necessarily. And that's mostly in regards to the fact that it seems like we're fighting a lot of wars, not for the interests of the American people, but for the military-industrial complex. And who do they serve? Well, we'll leave that for another show. The U.S. withdrawal follows the pullout of French forces from the Niger late last year and from neighboring Mali in 2022. A five-country alliance to fight terror groups across the Sahel likewise collapsed in recent years. And intelligence gathered by the United Nations member states suggests that terror groups those Western forces were hoping to curtail have made the most of their growing absence. The Al-Qaeda-linked Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal al-Muslimin, also known as JNIM, which for us white folk, we'll just leave it to that, has become the most significant threat in the region. According to a UN sanctions monitoring team report released last week, JNIM command 5,000 to 6,000 fighters, the report said, and continues to expand, mostly in Burkina Faso, but also significantly in Mali and Niger. And while the intelligence suggests that they have not given up on striking Western interests in the Sahel, the group's ability to expand and consolidate territorial gains could put it in position to establish an emirate from central Mali to northern Benin, the report warned. Now, the Islamic State terror group's affiliates in the region have also made gains. Now, those are the kind of gains we want to be making. We want to make gains in the gym, but not gains in our waistband or gains in our terroristic sleeper cells. So it's interesting to me as we talk about this, you got to remember that the world is this close to chaos. And that's why everyone's going, well, the U.S. military can't protect itself. How do you think they're going to protect you when we end up in the apocalypse? That's why patriots around the country are immediately looking to My Patriot Supply to supply them with the emergency meal kits that are ready for you when the world isn't ready for what's next. These emergency meal kits have over 2,000 calories, so they keep you full. They're nutritious, they're delicious, and they have food variety. Maybe the world sucks, but at least you won't be bored with your dietary intake. Everyone thinks about owning guns, having bulletproof vests, gas masks, and believe me, go do all those things. But have you ever thought about what's going to happen when the supply chain breaks down? Well, you've got to have that food. Plus, their one-week meal kits are $50 off at preparewithvnn.com. That's PREPAREWITH, VNN.com. You can get them today at My Patriot Supply. But I'm going to tell you this, they also last 25 years stored in a rugged ammo can. So these meal kits, you can buy them today, and with the rate of inflation, they'll be free if you don't use them in the next 2 years because our dollars are going to be worth nothing. Check it out today, preparewithvnn.com, PREPAREWITH, VNN.com today. Now, as I mentioned, to explain a little bit further of what happened, here's a little video explaining for those that prefer visual explanations. Watch.
Shifting focus to Niger, the United States has pulled out its remaining troops from the West African nation. The U.S. handed over its last military base, the Air Base 201, to the authorities in Niger. The large base, located in the city of Agadez in northern Niger, was a crucial hub for American counterterrorism operations in the country. It was a drone base that cost up to $110 million to the U.S. It was one of the largest U.S. drone bases in Africa and of high strategic importance. It enabled Washington to conduct intelligence and surveillance covering almost the entire Sahel region. In Niger, U.S. troops were helping Mali to counter extremism. They were first deployed in the country in 2013. More than a decade later marks their complete exit.
Over the past decade, U.S. troops have trained Niger's forces and supported partner-led counterterrorism missions against Islamic State and Al-Qaeda in the region. The U.S. Department of Defense and the Nigerian Ministry of National Defense recognize the sacrifices made by both nations' forces.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have helped them. Perhaps we should help ourselves because our country needs our tax dollars. Unfortunately for us this time, more money wasted in Africa and nothing's changed. My name is Elijah Schaefer. Thank you for watching Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. If you like this video, drop a comment and like the video if you can. But also don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at vigilantnews.com, or you can get these videos directly on your social media websites, X and Rumble. We are at Vigilant News. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.